Clerk will call the roll.
Glenn Whitley, County Judge.
Here.
Roy Charles Brooks, Commissioner Precinct 1.
Present.
Andy H. Wing, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Fickus, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Here.
J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4.
He's here.
Constitutes a quorum.
Our invocation today will be delivered by Pastor Kevin Smith from Faith Christian Fellowship Church in Hurst. After the invocation, please remain standing for the pledges. Thank you for coming down today, sir.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this empowerment that you've given this council, and we just thank you for their service. We thank you right now, and we ask that you continue to let them serve the community as best they know how. We thank you for the community. We thank you for Fort Worth, Lord. We thank you for all the beloveds who are here on today. Bless them, encourage them, comfort them, give them the things they need as we continue to be a part of this community. Here in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Reverend. Thank you, sir. Agenda announcements. Mr.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have one announcement as it relates to the agenda this morning. It's under the Budget and Risk Management Department, item 9B2. This is an exception to the fee schedule for court interpreters. We've given you a new court communication. We removed one of those items, one of the three that were on that particular court communication. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Court members, you have before you the minutes of our regular meeting of June the 2nd.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Johnson, you want to push your... Motion passes unanimously. Commissioner Fickus, I believe you have a resolution for
We
ratification.
do, and we presented it on Friday to Carolyn Sims at her retirement. I move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Court members, you have before you the consent agenda.
Move for the approval of consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. I guess since we rolled right through the proclamations and all that, I will go ahead and put up a few hats. I'm sorry, Debbie.
It's okay. It was it.
At least you stayed up till 1 o'clock to watch it.
They deserve it.
And we'll kind of put them in here in the background. They just. But we have a great reason to celebrate. First off, SEC has 4 of the 8 teams there, and TCU. Purples are playing this weekend, so I think it's going to be a good World Series. Wished I was in Omaha. Mr. Manius.
Thank you, and Your Honor, in the spirit of compassion, we're actually going to ask someone who actually graduated from Texas A&M to make this first presentation.
I spent all weekend watching baseball, Saturday and Sunday.
Lisa, make the presentation.
Go ahead, Lisa.
We know that Saturday was a bad day and Sunday was a better.
And then last night
And Monday was a good day. It was Tuesday that kind of got rotten.
with that, though, we're kind of used to that anyway. We're asking Commissioners Court to approve the use of tax-exempt educational revenue bonds that are going to be issued by the Arlington Higher Education Finance Corporation in the maximum principal amount of $150 million. These will be used by Harmony Public Schools to finance certain educational facilities that are located throughout the state of Texas, and in particular at sites located in Tarrant County and Fort Worth and in Euless. Harmony has provided all the notices that are required and provided a letter to the county noting that the property contains no restrictions on the current or future use, and that they will work toward meeting the county's hub policy.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I move to receive and file the personnel agenda.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, to receive and file personnel agenda. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Chris?
Good morning, Ms. Glenn.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning,
I
Chris.
see has one item for the court's consideration this morning. It is requested that the Commissioners Court approve the agreement between Tarrant County and Clear Health Incorporated for a virtual private network connection center to perform remote support and management of existing public electronic medical record system.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. We talked a little bit, and I know you were in on that conversation on the wellness program.
Yes, sir.
We need to get that fixed.
We're on it.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Beecham? Good morning.
Do you have a cap up there for him?
I did. Arkansas did okay.
They're in the game.
They're in the game.
Saturday at 2,
Who do y'all play?
Virginia. They beat us in the Super Regional last year, so maybe kind of a grudge match.
It won't be kind of a grudge match. There'll be a big party going on in Omaha, I'll tell you that.
Your Honor, other members of the court, we have 3 items for consideration this morning. Our first item is a bid award recommendation for bid 2015-1112. This is a bid to demolish, fabricate, and install windows at the Tarrant County Juvenile Detention Center. Recommendation to award the low bidder, GST Manufacturing, amount of $52,527. If approved, receive acceptance of the payment and the performance bond and contract approval.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Our second item is another bid award recommendation for bid 2015-125. It's a bid for replacement of fire sprinkler system and fire alarm system at the Taylor Street parking garage. Recommendation would be toward the low bidder, Ideal Fire and Security. Again, we're seeking acceptance of the payment, performance bond, and contract approval if you choose to approve this.
What's wrong with the existing fire system?
Come on down, Mr. Phillips.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
The existing sprinkler system in the 250,000 square foot garage has deteriorated over the past 26 years. Pipes are black, iron, steel, should be yellow.
It wasn't galvanized.
Correct.
And we bought that from Radio
Off the
Shack.
grid.
No, sir.
I see.
We built that, and we designed this probably in 1991 and opened it in 92.
So we didn't design it for galvanized?
Apparently not. And also. the
You
way-
say apparently not. Did anybody go back and check to see if apparently we didn't?
The drawings, I don't remember, no, sir, I did not. I didn't find any as-built drawings. Gilbane was overseeing that back then.
Okay. Well, I guess your statement of we should have used galvanized pipe concerns me when we are the ones that built it.
Yes, sir, it does me too. Also, there's 2 reasons. That's the main reason. The second reason is the way it was installed. It does have some dips and valleys in it. And it's a dry air system, which means when the sprinkler head goes off, the little fusible link melts. The pressure reduces in the pipe, which opens the valves, lets the water. So water usually doesn't stand in there on a as-going basis because it's open to the environment and it's for freeze protection purposes. However, every now and then over the last 20 years, either testing or accidental KVG, Gideon's back then, they're no longer around. And the builder was,
Didn't you say Gilbane, or did you just say Gilbane was the one that,
Gilbane was the project manager. They oversaw the construction. They did the correction center, the justice center, and the garage, and I believe they did the medical examiner's office as well back in the day.
is this is where we're talking about eventually, or maybe not, is this where we're eventually building on the other half of the block, or is that a block on further down?
No, sir, this is on the bluff.
Oh, this is on the bluff, okay.
It's on the bluff. This is not the one on Weather Street. It's on the bluff.
Okay.
It's, the reason it has to have, we've already checked in with City of Fort Worth years ago when we started having problems. It has to have a fire sprinkler system because the fire department can't get to all sides of the building. For example, they can get to all sides of the Calhoun garage, and there's not a fire sprinkler system in that one, because they can get hoses, and that's not the case with the Taylor garage. They can't get to the backside because it's got
With the bluff.
a bluff and a walkway, and they can't really get to really only one side of it. So this also includes replacement of the electronic fire alarm system for about $50,000 of this for the elevator lobbies.
Is that just our parking garage, or does the city have some of that parking garage?
It's us. We built over their garage, over there, but under, the entrance to our garage goes under their garage.
That's why it's called Taylor Street. We go underneath the city garage to get to our garage. And this garage that we're talking about is the one that's behind the old criminal courts building and the big white building.
It butts the city county.
Right.
They touch.
It's Big Hickey.
How old is that facility?
We built that opened in 92, so it is,
23.
the design of it was actually in the late 80s. The construction of it probably was started in 1990.
So it's 24 years old.
New system, the galvanized system will last much longer.
Unfortunately, we don't have an option, is that correct?
Sir, it's become non-maintainable. We've patched it with pipes and replaced stuff, Commissioner, over the years. And finally, it's got to the point where we can't trust it. We've had pipes, 2-inch water pipes fall on vehicles.
Really?
Don't say that.
Okay. Well, given the fact that we have no other choice, I move for its approval.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? More discussion? Please vote. Motion passes reluctantly unanimously.
Our last item is also a bid award recommendation for bid 2015-129. This is a contract for locksmith services and supplies. Our recommendation to award the low bidder Loctite Security Incorporated. Last year's expenditure was approximately $70,000.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Commissioner Johnson, I believe you have a item.
I have 3 interlocals. Have all these been approved by the DA's office?
Yes, Commissioner, they have.
Thank you. I move approval of item 9J, 1A through F.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Are there any appointments today? There being none, then you have before you the claims, including the addendum.
Move approval of the claims, including the addendum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims, including the addendum. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Briefing items, Mr. Manius?
Just a second. Okay. Now that court's almost over with, we have a working mic up here. We have several items to bring to the court on briefing this morning. The first one deals with the Texas Comptroller Leadership Circle. I'd like to talk to you just very briefly about this. We've included some information in your packet. In the county's efforts for open government, and we've been asked to participate in the Comptroller's Leadership Circle. It's a certification that the county receives. And basically what happens is that there are different levels. There's a platinum level, a gold, a silver, and a bronze level. And we are currently sitting at a gold level, or could qualify for a gold level. But the one other issue that would allow us to complete The requirements for a platinum level is a letter which the comptroller is asking the chief elected official to sign, and I believe that we've included it in your packet, but let me read it to you. It says, the Texas Comptroller Leadership Circle, in an effort to introduce more transparency into local spending and debt obligations, Tarrant County pledges to post details about the entity's bond and debt information on the entity's website no later than 1 business day after the public notice of a bond election. This information would include details about the bond package up for a vote and current outstanding debt obligations, including bonds, COs, and other debt, and the date of the election. It says the entity further pledges to notify the Comptroller's office via email when the bond election information is posted on the entity's website. This is a certification that has to be renewed every year, and since it's asking the county judge to sign this, really this is a pledge that the Commissioners Court needs to make in totality.
There's no financial impact on this.
There's no financial impact on it, and let me say this. The vast majority of this information is already on our website as far as debt service is concerned and things such as that. Whenever we pass the order to issue bonds, and this is or not to issue bonds, but to call an election, the information that the Comptroller's office will be seeking is already embedded in those documents. I mean, we have an order that we pass, and our bond counsel comes up with the detail of what's going to be on the ballot. It's going to be very easy for us to pull this off. But I think what we need to do, if we're going to move forward with this, that as part of the approval process that you all do with your bond package, calling the bond package, that we already have this document prepared for you. And it's right there for the court to see, for you all to approve it, and we will post it that same day.
Either that or we're going to have 5 signatures on this piece of paper. I'm not real excited about the fact that we're only going to have 1 signature on this piece of paper.
Judge, I figure we do it as an order of the court, then you're just performing your ministry.
Thanks.
We figured that's why you get the big bucks.
But it would take an order. I think that it would be proper to have an order of the court on this, and therefore the judge would sign it as the presiding officer of the court.
Are you requesting us to take action today?
No, he's trying to convince me to sign the form. He's what he's trying to do.
You don't have an option.
All right, the upside is,
That we become a platinum member.
that and 52 cents or whatever it is will get you on the bus.
Okay.
75 cents probably.
Yeah, we went past a quarter coffee about 40 years ago.
The upside is transparency.
Yes, sir, it is.
What's the downside?
There's no downside as long as we get it on there the day after the.
The only downside is,
And I have mellowed a little bit about my resistance, because I do think that we have everything lined up and in place. But what that would say is if all of a sudden we get here to decide we're going to call a bond election and we decide, well, we don't quite like this, we want to change it a little bit, we're not going to be able to change it the day of and make everything happen.
We shouldn't.
You're right, and that's kind of where I've, in talking with GK and kind of going through this process. I mean, if this is the only thing that keeps us from doing that, then I can go forward and feel comfortable with signing that. And unless I don't know that we need. I mean, you're saying you want a court order. As long as y'all are okay with, I don't know why you wouldn't be with me signing this form.
Let's go with it.
We'll just go with it and I'll sign it.
Okay.
Sure you don't want a court order? That may shield?
No, at the point in time that y'all decide y'all want to change anything, I'm going to make y'all sign this form too.
I would suggest that we do an order, so we could just get a motion.
You'll prepare it and then I'll.
Okay,
I'll sign it.
what we'll do, we'll have it up for you in the next week or so, okay? Thank you, Your Honor. We have other items that
Thank
we
you.
need to bring also.
Right ahead.
The legislative issues, very quickly. Mr. Mendez is going to be coming in several weeks now after the governor's period and report back to the court as it relates to actions and results of the Texas legislature. You do have in your packet the information that we received from our federal people. Finally, what I'd like to do is have a presentation just on the 1115 waiver delivery system. That's going to be done by Public Health. I know Vinny is not here today. Okay, so we have an 1115 waiver presentation, and then that'll be the end of the briefing items.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Commissioners. Appreciate the opportunity to come back. I think this is round 4, maybe the 4th installment of giving you the Health Department's update on our progression through this transformation waiver. As I said, we've been in about 2 years of implementation, about 3.5 years of planning, and we're starting now to see some really good results. Very excited about where we are and sort of the next round and the impact that we're having here in the county. Real quick review of the projects. We still have the 9 projects that we started from the beginning. The first one, our tobacco cessation, just that. Tobacco program, improve education in the community and try to decrease the actual or increase the cessation rate within our community. Our antenatal steroid program, this is targeting women that have had preterm birth in the past, and now we're trying to reduce that, those preterm birth in our community moving forward. Our chronic disease self-management program, this program is really targeting those that have chronic disease or family members of such, to help them develop methods to cope with and deal with this chronic disease and to self-manage them over time and improve their quality of life. Our TB clinic, our TB projects, we have 2 of those. Both of them are geared towards improving completion rates of those that have latent tuberculosis. And we do that 2 ways. One, expansion, which is increasing access. So after hours and maybe some alternative hours for access to the clinics. And then the second one, the medication rifapentine, that is a combination therapy of medication that shortens the duration at which point, or which the member would, or the individual would be on the treatment regimen, which has proven to be very, very successful over the last 2 years. Our STD programs, both of these are located in Arlington. These are specifically for education and to decrease the prevalence of STDs within the Arlington community. The first one there, Pride, this program actually originated here in Fort Worth. Now we're transferring it out, or not transferring it, but also adding it to the Arlington area. And it's just that. It's outreach and education to our adolescent community to teach them about sexually transmitted diseases and decisions regarding those activities. The second project is expansion, very similar to the TB program, increasing access Saturdays, after hours, things such as that to increase access. Health Information Exchange, this is our project that we are dialing into other enterprise type of electronic health record and health information systems to be able to exchange data without having to manually go pull some of this. The first rendition of DSRIP is to focus directly on pertussis, so we can see if we can capture those through this system versus manually trying to pull those out. And it's proven to be very successful also. And then our last one, which is our newest project, started in August of last year, our falls prevention, very similar to our chronic disease project, and is focused on our residents 60 and over in the county, and really to teach them proper fall management techniques, confidence and mobility, to increase their mobility and to hopefully also increase quality of life. So these are our 9 DSRIP projects. Timeline. You can see across the top here, you can see the FYs, FY13, really that's when our planning stopped and implementation started. And you can see in the red across the top the total of the 9 projects as they were approved. So about a year from the beginning to the last project being approved. Along the bottom, you can see the execution and the resulting milestone capture through valuation payments. That very first one was an administrative sort of load, if you will, and then all of the rest from the first payment DY2, which stands for demonstration year 2, through the first payment DY4 represent the actual performance payment based upon the project managers and their teams executing the milestones that they've developed several years back. The last one you can see there, the date is 7/31/15. That reflects April reporting, which we just sent in. So they'll now validate and verify whether or not we did what we said we did. And if they do, then they'll fire us that payment in July.
Has this money replaced other programs that we had had in the past, or is this additional funding coming in off of new programs where we've set quality measures and we've made those quality measures?
This is an additional funding stream directly, the easiest answer there. So this, as a matter of fact, one of the caveats with the utilization of this funding is that we cannot use this funding to augment funding.
Supplant?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So your payment schedule, how are your what is it, demonstration years?
Yes, sir.
How are they divided? I see a payment January 20th, 15, which is the second payment for DY13, and then a payment in July.
Yes, sir.
Anticipated payment, I suppose.
That's correct. And the easiest way to capture this is our milestone delivery. So we have to accomplish a deliverable by the last date in September each year and the last date in of March each year. At that point in time, we package that up, we translate it into the template format that they want, and then we send it to the state and on to CMS. That in turn results in an audit, a validation, which take for instance right now, we put that in April, so now the state and CMS is now evaluating that. So there will always be a 6-month time frame from when we deliver the actual milestone, and then there will always be a 6-month delay from when we're actually paid. So every year we're going to have a payment in January and July.
Well, what concerns me is that the payment for DY4 is so much, the first payment for DY4 is so much less than the first payment for DY3 and the first payment for DY2.
Absolutely.
Why is that?
And I can definitely explain that. Let me move on to this next slide here, and I can show you. This right here, this slide illustrates, again, all of those projects in cylinders. And on your bottom left, you'll see the light blue. That's our startup funding. So get the administrative stuff going, get people in place, get these projects going. The red cylinders illustrate payment reported and actually paid. So this is what we just described. I just described we did the milestone, we documented the milestone, we sent it on, and yes, they validated it and paid us. So the red illustrates everything that has come through this point, paid and validated. The next color, which is the green, which is exactly what you're talking about, Commissioner Brooks, the green, the smaller sliver there you can see is our reporting for April of 2015. Now, if you look to the next layer, the purple, that's a very substantially larger payout than it was in the April period before that. That phenomenon will continue and has happened for a couple of reasons. One, the delay in implementation of the demonstration waiver for the state has shifted everyone's deliverables a little bit to the right. So this is the time where everyone is sort of catching up. At the same time, most deliverables take a full year to complete. So naturally, your deliverables will not be now due or complete until your September reporting period. So every year, you're always going to see from now on a dip in April and a rise in October because you don't have the full year to accomplish those deliverables.
So the payment stream should be more or less constant. The way the cash flow is received should be different. Is that what you're telling me?
The, moving forward,
Or is the amount of funding going to go down every year? That's what I'm trying to get at.
the funding, well, there's a couple of elements that go into effect. You can see that middle project right there. That middle project has a valuation that equals maybe 2 or 3 of the other projects. So naturally, if we hit one of those milestones, it could actually counter 3 or 4 milestones from another project. But in general, the project payment schedule should start to level out to where we'll see a capture of a small portion of milestones in April and then a larger portion of milestones in October. Every year, that should start repeating itself. Now, additionally, the waiver has 5 years. So technically, at this point in time, there is an end to the waiver. Now, I'll talk in a moment about the renewal process. But in the renewal phase, if they come in, if CMS comes back in and says, we're going to renew these projects, but they will be valued lower, we're going to give the state less money, then obviously the payments will drop down accordingly.
That doesn't give me a sense of comfort for where we are and whether or not we will actually have a level payment stream over the first 5 years pre-renewal of this waiver process.
Well, and
it looks like it's all over the map to me.
Well, and it is. Many of that is due to the waiver itself was actually the first payment itself. And if we go back here, you can see here that first 4 at the top, the first 4 approved, 425.13. Those 4 projects were approved for implementation. What is that? 6 months after the demonstration year actually started. So meaning those projects did not even get to be funded until 6 months until those deliverables. So what are you doing? You're doing project compression to get those caught up. So that's what you've seen in these payment years, to where initially we had an initial win on that first payment, DY2. That was the tobacco project, which was a big payer. And then you see a little bit of a drop off here. And then we really, really nailed some of our targets in DY3. And then for both payments. Now you're going to see this tapering off to where you'll see a lower payment in April, and then you'll see a spike, just simply because.
Okay.
I guess
Give me, once it all levels out and stabilizes and we get to a stable funding stream for the year, how much money are we talking about annually from this program? Assuming we hit all our milestones.
But don't we, I mean, Commissioner, I think let me try to respond what I think is going to happen on this deal. You start a program each time, and it's a 5-year deal, and you've got your milestones that you're looking at. When you get to the end of that 5-year, that program doesn't go away, but it may change dramatically, and you've got to get a new program approved for the continuation of whatever that particular instance was.
That's correct.
And so if it's maintaining a program, it'll be different. And in the meantime, we may put in for 3 or 4 more new programs. So I'm not sure there's going to be a flat amount.
I'm not talking about in the renewal period. I'm talking about in this first 5 years. At some point, he said it's going to level off. I want to know what that level off revenue stream is going to be.
Well, the next slide here I can show you is a demonstration of where our total valuation. If you look down at the bottom, you see total program potential, 57 million. All right, minus our intergovernmental transfer, which is, of course, what we have to put in to be a part of the waiver, gives us $33 million. So that $33 million net, that's before expenses.
Okay.
That is the total valuation that we could possibly receive from this program.
That's helpful.
The number below that is what we've received so far. So if you subtract those numbers and obviously divide that out through the end of the waiver, that's the average that we should see between now and completion. So if we hit every milestone, then 57 million would be the target with a $33 million after IGT.
That's very helpful, thank you.
And this slide here does just capture all of those cylinders, and you can see underneath the dollar figures, you'll see the number of milestones. There's 110 milestones that we have to hit. We've hit 47 of those. Again, if we hit the way it looks like we're projecting and forecasting, and we've been pretty darn close moving on thus far, then we'll hit 30 more. So we'll be over the right at the three-quarter mark, which is right on pace. And then, of course, the final 33 milestones would be in that last year.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Our current financials, so our carry forward from FY14 was $5.1 million. Of course, this includes our expenses, our valuation payments, our IGT through this last year will leave us with a $6.4 million ending balance through our forecasts. Now, granted, keep in mind this payment right here, that in purple, that $12 million, that's an October milestone, but remember there's a delay, so we won't actually receive that payment until January. So our challenges and next steps. So as we've gone through, we've talked about how we report our milestones in, and that has to go through a series of audits and whatnot. We also have an external audit firm that came in 6 months ago, 8 months ago, to review our projects, their narratives, our plans, and to rate and gauge how we're doing, and to evaluate whether we have risky projects, very risky projects, et cetera. That scorecard came out last week, and we're happy to say at the health department, we didn't make that list of the risky and very risky projects. Matter of fact, all of our projects were in the minimal category, which just simply means, doesn't mean there's no risk, it just simply means how we've developed the project plan and how we're rolling it out and how that equates to them understanding the deliverable seems to be of low risk. But of course, there's always the work, obviously, that's required to get it done no matter what. The next area there, milestone deadline, we have 4 hard stop milestones for October 15. So these are milestones that started in DY3 that we have to have those completed by the end of this fiscal year. Out of the 110 milestones we have, we've nailed every one of them. These 4 we're tracking very closely. They're our sponsors and the project managers. We've been tracking these over the last year, 6 months to a year, and implementing those things to ensure we get that payment and that valuation in October. As of now, we're tracking.
You mean the end of September or the end of October?
Well, hard stop date is technically October 1.
Okay.
That's correct. So we have 4 months to seal these 4 milestones, which right now we are tracking at or above pace for these. The director, sponsors, and the project teams, we are fully entrenched in making sure that we engage these and make sure we get there.
It's looking good so far.
So far, that's right. It's on the watch list because we're nearing this date, but it's looking good. The next item there is DSRIP renewal. We talked about that a little bit. 5 years for DSRIP 1.0, if you will. The ask for renewal has to come from the state to CMS by August. So that will be packaged for Region 10, our region. There will be a public meeting on July 21st at the Old Red Museum in Dallas, open for the public, to go over the ask, what's going to happen, what they're looking at, et cetera. The early indications is that the ask is going to be the same as was for the first project demonstration year, 5 years in the same funding stream to reflect the demonstration year 5. These things can historically have gone anywhere from 3 to 5 years, so we'll see. And then lastly, milestone completion. We'll continue to report out our DY4 and DY5 milestones as we move on. Of course, at the end of each one of these presentations, I definitely want to talk about impact. So how it's impacting the county, how these transformative efforts are not just sort of neat projects that we get to do in the health department, but also actually reaching out to our community. Our project managers, we've seen stayed static. We have increased employees. These employee teams with their project managers, if you go down to the bottom, the Tarrant County Patient Impact, these are quantifiable patient numbers. These are numbers that we have to track as a metric to reporting to CMS. You can see a substantial jump in just 1 year from 838 lives touched to the 7,518.
Are these are these actual individual patients, or are they patient contacts?
These are patients that have been enrolled in our tobacco program and actually have gone through training. These are women that we're now tracking and assisting with education and medication for their high-risk pregnancy. These are our HIE capture. These are cases that we've captured through here where before we would not have been able to.
Okay.
And of course, our TB and STD clinics also. So 7,518, and that number will substantially increase the next time too, because as these milestones, as we go through the years, our milestones also have to increase. And then lastly, our partners. This is just a snapshot of a lot of the partners that we had here in the county. We couldn't have made it possible without the help and assistance of some of our teammates here, and we really want to thank them. And we know there's a lot of challenges going forward. We're not totally sure about District 2.0, but we're excited about the opportunity and see how that's going to roll out. And that's all I have. If you have any questions.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That's all we have at this time, Your Honor.
Then we'll recess our open meeting and proceed to close to discuss items exempt under sections 551.071, 072, 074, 076, and 087 of the Texas Government Code. Having returned from our closed session and there being no business to conduct at this time, we are adjourned.